Good afternoon, viewers of Free Enterprise, and welcome to today's race. I am Bakashinobi, and I am joined by Smapety.
Hey everybody, we've got a very interesting one today. We've got some phenomenal racers up here with various degrees of experience going on so far in today's league.
Indeed, in the top left spot, we have dustygriff, who has done one race and placed in second place in that race. And the top right spot, we have swimmylionni, this is their first race, but is known for doing cataseeds and is a big fan of that drain spear. And the bottom left, we have Error72, who has done one race and it came in first place in that match. And in the bottom right, we have penguin8r, who has done two matches with a second place and a last place finish. So he is probably looking to go and try and pick up some points today.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a lot of eyes on both swimmylionni and penguin8r here. Swimmylionni definitely looking to get a strong start in their first match here in the league to get up with some of those racers like my co-commentator here that have a number of matches under their belt with some fantastic finishes. So definitely wants to look strong, and penguin8r is certainly going to be hungry for first place to jump back up and start fighting in those league standings here.
Indeed, and this is a telestart, which is, depending on who their partner is going to be somewhat slow or very slow. Though we do have the benefit of exit, so we can go and make more checks and find more items.
Yeah, if there's going to be anybody that is going to take advantage of a telestart, it's going to be these runners here. They're going to know the benefits of things like, that exit to get out of dungeons early. It's going to make some early things like an early antlion check a little more time efficient. And also access to that blink spell is very, very useful in certain fights in the right hands. You'd be very surprised what you can manage to pull off when your disco dancing party members are able to dance around physical attacks.
Oh yeah, and you can try and go and get him to cast a nice big hefty virus with that recall skill, but it's got a pretty low chance.
Yeah, but sometimes you got to go for a big gamble like that if you're going to step away from the crowd.
Indeed, and we are now starting. We'll see who our second party member is. It's a double telestart.
I think somebody called it in chat. Was that Rex Raoul? So nice job there.
We'll be sure that the runners go and send you their thanks directly. And they start with the twin harp, so probably going to get some music today.
Yeah, they're definitely going to want to look around for some party members before they do that. The Dark Elf spot that the Twin Harp gives access to has notoriously high magic defense. So even, especially with a team of two casters right now, you're going to want somebody that can actually hit something hard before you go look at that spot.
Oh yeah, that is definitely going to be a very important thing to find. Artemis arrows in the first pot of Baron. That can be a big thing if you get someone who can use them. And we see Sid in Barons, and that is someone who can use Artemis arrows.
Yeah, definitely. And he can hit decently hard too. The nice thing about Sid is he starts at a relatively high level for what you normally fight on the overworld bosses. So he can be a nice early game carry. Late game, he transitions more into the agility anchor role or just being an HP sponge that can throw out items in certain fights. But I wouldn't be surprised to see, especially since it looked like it was either the Kaipo guards or Baron guards guarding Sid in the first spot there. Wouldn't be surprised to see some early attempts to pick him up.
That's true. I think that is the vanilla Baron guards, because the Kaipo guards have the yellow and red soldier as their second through fourth sprite. Which, clearly any obsessive should know.
And we're seeing an early missed check here by penguin8r. We're going to check out some of those hidden item spots here and see if is able to nail anything that helps him.
Yeah, meanwhile, dustygriff went and hit that Baron shop to pick up some extra Cure 2s. While Tella has that spell, he only has 90 mana, so you might want to go and just have some of those potions around. I like having those potions even if I have two dedicated white mages. Elfin Bows in the Mist shop, that is a very nice find if you find someone who can use it. And Tella can't. Tella cannot use anything but staffs and rods.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Does find a rune axe, though, in Rydia's house. So that's going to be very big if they manage to get that Sid. That is effectively Sid's best weapon.
Oh yeah, and it does great damage against those Baron guards, though no one can go and use it yet.
And penguin8r giving us a quick Mist Dragon spot check. It's Leviathan, wants nothing to do with it, and he's out.
Yep, meanwhile, while looting, wow, dustygriff and Error are both almost in perfect sync walking through Dam Cyan, and having looted the treasury, I believe they both found a curse string in there, which will be very helpful when you need to go and anchor your team later, but probably don't want to throw that on quite yet.
Yeah, I would almost think that we were looking at the same feed, except that they parked the Enterprise one space away from one another. That is the only, up until that route divergence there, that was the only difference between those two streams.
They are definitely in sync today, and penguin8r checked the bed, and Swimmy went, and it looks like one of the twins, it might be Porum, I think, but I have a hard time telling based on just the...
I believe that was Porum, but I'm sure we'll get corrected by somebody if we're wrong.
Well, if there's No Country for Old Men, it's definitely this. It's definitely not this one, because there's another Tella on Hobbs.
That's pretty fantastic. So we've got 3 Tella start with the Twin Harp immediately available. This is looking like a chat favorite seed right here.
Oh yeah, buckle in. This is this early game is going to take a while.
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting things about this Highway to the Zeromus Zone flag set is the duplicate characters, which is a relatively new feature to Free Enterprise, at least compared to last year's League flags. In addition to that, the check to make sure that all of the characters are available in a seed is disabled in the Highway to the Zeromus Zone flag set. So they're not guaranteed any specific characters. They could get any number of characters not showing up in the ultimate pool. So it really makes our runners have to think on their feet as far as party composition goes.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of very deft improvisation by our runners today. Probably a lot more shop checks, because one of the items you can find in shops are called vampires, which cast drain and do about 400 to 500 points of damage, and they're one of the best damaging J items you can buy in shops. You can find lots of them, but buying them, you're probably going to need that with 2 to 3 Tellas to start with.
Yeah, vampires are an excellent way to do some consistent damage early on. Speaking of those different sprites for the Kaipo guards, there they are here in Antlion. So at least they've got a relatively easy fight in one of the earliest dungeons here.
Yeah, that seems like the first bit of mercy they've gotten this seed.
With any luck, this will lead to some sort of progression to get these runners going here.
Indeed, I'm sure everyone in chat would love to see a hook. The runners would love the character. The chat would love to go and see Kanaizo destroy these old men.
I do like that Error has turned on the silly flag for, or excuse me, the character, the additional characters at the end of the character name to differentiate them, because Tella's is an appropriate description of this seed so far.
Oh yeah, Tella's this is Tella country. There's no stopping here.
Using a little bit of frog strats there, Error gets through the fight, and we have got an Avenger sword.
Great weapon, not for this party.
It's not of immediate use, but should we find somewhere a Cecil or a Kane, maybe if this ends up being a hook seed and they do go down that hook route and find somebody there, that'll be a phenomenal weapon for them. But right now, yeah, not doing anything.
Yeah, and there might be some temptation to just sell it and buy some other items, because you can go and get that nicer early game. But it's such a hard thing to sell, because it's one of Kane and Cecil's best weapons and has a few other unique properties which make it extraordinarily valuable.
And the life potions found in Silvera, always a little sigh of relief once you've got those life potions in your pocket. Lets you do a lot more than you would ordinarily be able to.
Oh yeah, those life potions, not just for going in when you throw endless numbers of bodies at your enemies, it also lets you go and sometimes get double experience from enemies when you use the life glitch, which, because of the fact that enemies in this game are not quite programmed the same as the player characters, if you throw a life potion on them, they will revive and instantly die because they have a 0 vitality stat, which still gives you extra rewards.
Of course, the life glitch not going to be enormously useful on Tella because you can get as many levels as you want on Tella, and he is not going to really improve that much.
Yeah, that's in one way one of Tella's greatest strengths is that you can go and leave him dead for most of the game, be a great anchor, and still contribute in various ways with the ability to cast Berserk, Cure 4, all of these great spells after you do Ordeal.
Yeah, and that's going to be the big sticking point is Ordeals. Right now, I don't think any of our runners are going to feel confident enough to tackle Ordeals. Yeah, in fact, it looks like Error is going for the Fabul play right now, alongside Swimmylionni, right behind him. But once they're able to get that Ordeals done and get the full spell list for Tella, his usefulness is going to increase exponentially.
Oh yeah, and Supremacy asking why you need exit potions if you have Tellas. Well, maybe our runners are hopeful that eventually they will have a party with no old men.
Yeah, they're inexpensive enough that it isn't a bad idea to just pick them up. You never know what your ultimate party is going to be. If you do start subbing everybody out and you're only white mage Rosa, that's going to limit you unless you're doing Tower of Zot with the Earth Crystal. That you might not. You might find yourself without access to that exit spell. So never a bad idea to have those in backup.
Oh yeah, I always like to go and have. I would like to go and have Cure 2s when I have a party full of white mages, so I have no qualms with backup items. And Mom Bomb at Fabul Gauntlet, which is giving the Tellas a bit of trouble. Just he hits them, they hit them, or he hits the Tellas hit back, and they just all kind of slowly try and whittle down each other's health.
dustygriff playing the long game here, comes across Unihorns in Mysidia and picks one up. Always good to have that in your back pocket if you want to try for that relatively recently developed Unihorn strats on Zeromus, where you take advantage of berserking up until you get close to that HP refill, Unihorn your berserk character to bring them back under control, and then try to manipulate that fight so you never hit that HP refill.
Yeah, that's definitely a very tricky strat. I have not personally tried it, and I hats off to anyone who does successfully pull that off, because that is not an easy trick.
And Swimmylioni's Mom Bomb blowing up should have this under control here.
He used the big bomb too early, so what happens is there's a transition between Mom Bomb going to one enemy to 6 enemies. And if the cursor still shows up still in the middle, it's only going to hit one enemy.
Yeah, there are a couple of fights where that can become a big issue. Most notably on Zeromus, if you throw like a silk web or something too early, it'll just consume it and won't get used because it's actually hitting the wrong target. And taking a reset there. That's really unfortunate for Swimmylionni.
Yeah, that's Tella is definitely going to struggle to go and kill those bombs in order to go and do much. And he's buying a few succubus as well, it seems, which is interesting. That casts the psych spell and allows you to go and steal MP from enemies or your own party members.
Yeah, with Tella's limited MP pool, he can get some uses out of those succubus. They can be used sort of as a poor man's ether. But yeah, any way to keep Tella going any longer than he normally can is definitely something you want to have available.
Oh yeah, and dustygriff using his grimoire and getting a very, very nice roll with Bahamut coming out to go and knock off a lot of Mom Bomb's health, which sadly doesn't kill her because she has an extra 10,000 health in any spot she appears in so that she can go and do her normal exploding script.
Yeah, but able to get the big bomb going off at the right time to finish off the rest and gets a pass for his trouble.
It's certainly a nice item to find, but I'm sure that he would have been much happier with anything that got them a character.
Yeah, file that away with the Avenger under. This is neat that I have it. What do I do now?
And Error is going and taking a trip to Ordeals, maybe seeing if he can just sneak up there, and there's a bunch of free bosses who will just let him walk in and get his spells.
Yeah, I definitely like this play. It's a very brave play. There's 3 bosses to get through, and any one of them can easily stop a party of 2 old men. But if he's able to stumble across some very doable fights, this is going to give him an enormous advantage over the rest of the runners right now.
Yeah, this will definitely... Tella's spell library is rather tepid, with the standout spells being Cure 2, Blink, and Stop, really. So anything to get some more damage out of this is going to be very helpful.
And we see a play we don't see very often on penguin8r's screen there as the sign of desperation, actually going into the waterway to check chests just to look for something that can get this team some momentum going.
And we find D-Mist in the first boss slot over Ordeals. Not a free boss. It will give a bonus item if defeated, but this might take a while.
It might take a while, but this is one of those fights where Tella's access to the Blink spell could be very useful. D-Mist only does physical attacks, so if the damage D-Mist puts out becomes a problem, they can throw that Blink up, but only hitting those Tella for 12, yeah, this is just going to be a long slog of a slugfest here, but if Errors gets through this fight and isn't able to make any other progress on Ordeals, it still gives him a chance to find some sort of progression from Mrs. Rydia back in Mist.
Oh yeah, and now dustygriff, meanwhile, going and trying to take out the Baron in spot, while he is rewarded with a free fight in his end with 3 Dark Imps. Those can be stopped and they can be coffined. He just needs to not die to this hit.
No! Oh, almost. Very, very close there.
Yeah, that was very close. I might go and try and change his party around slightly to get some advantage, putting in the other talent in the back row to potentially survive 2 hits, and then just needs to go and throw those coffins he picked up in Naggart.
Yeah, and this will be huge for dustygriff if he does manage to figure out the Dark Imp puzzle here. That's going to give him a Sid with a Rune Axe, which is going to be a huge improvement to this party.
Indeed, I believe I noticed that there was a Zeus Gauntlet in Fabul, so that Sid is going to be very mighty. And penguin8r is trying to make the same play and encountering the same trouble that Dusty went to.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if he makes the same adjustment, switching those Tellas to back row formation in order to try and tank out that damage.
And you are right, he just does just that and goes straight back in. Error, meanwhile, still going and throwing Thor Rages at D-Mist to get whatever damage he can off on them. And Dusty, I believe, has successfully stopped the Dark Imps and is throwing coffins at them.
Yep, they have gotten their initial attacks out. The Hourglass stuck, so yeah, this is just a matter of 3 coffins. And no need to get that other Tell up because this spot gives no experience whatsoever, but he is going to get himself a key item and an engineer for his trouble.
Oh yeah, you normally don't feel good about throwing 15,000 gold at Dark Imps in a rather early spot, but this is probably the best 15,000 gold he's going to spend. A Life Staff, not a terrible item, but definitely not progress and not something that's going to help him do more damage, but that Sid certainly will.
Yeah, absolutely. 15,000 gold is kind of a... In this particular seed, for a Life Staff and a Sid, that's a bargain.
Oh yeah, that's definitely that's money well spent. That is, if other players don't go to Aggart and don't go and get that Life Staff, those coffins, which I don't think penguin8r did, which is why he might be able to get through this. He's got the Hourglass off, and he's got the hit, and does he have he does have coffins as well. Okay, so he went and stopped there, and he's going to get through this fight. Swimmy's just finishing up Kabul, and Not to sound mean, but Error is still going and chipping away at Mist Dragon. Mist Dragon is a very, very trolly fight with low damage just because of how much time you have to spend. All right, he's turned into Mist. Let's wait for him to turn back out of Mist and then start doing damage again.
And gets the fight down. I was curious to see if dustygriff was going to be able to get to the fight before Error finished there, but Error had been chipping away at it for a while. It's going to be interesting to see if how much faster dustygriff's fight is going to be just having access to that Sid as well equipped as he is.
Yeah, that Sid is going to go and he's going to do some significant DPS, but he's going to be back row glitch, so he can go and sit in the back row, be extra safe, and just go and wail on enemy.
Have the elements fights, not a particularly dangerous fight. Error might be able to get through this where he is. Let's see what he gets. Oh, he gets a Bahamut. That's huge.
That's going to make up a fair bit for his rather slow demist fight.
Yeah,
and
that
Dusty is going in.
That is big. That is a one-shot see you later on the elements there. Great job for Error.
Bahamut coming out big for these runners today. And penguin8r.
I think we're about to say the same thing. Yeah, he's making the Ordeals climb now as well.
Yeah, they've got a Sid, they've got a way to get through Ordeals. That's going to go and give them a fair amount of an edge.
And we have the Magma Key, which is great for our runners, but bad news for chat, because I don't think we're going to see music anytime soon, sadly.
Yeah, and looks like Mylon just really didn't want to leave the mountain today, as he is in the French vanilla spot and where DKC normally is.
Well, in his defense, it was raining earlier. The zombies were getting really soggy, so he decided to take them inside for a little bit. Well, he got stuck.
Yeah, he was probably going to go and just come out when it was just misting, and then he saw that the mist was going to go and blow his face off with that demist breath.
And looks like on dustygriff's screen here, doing the elements a little more honestly, not throwing out any of those big ticket items. But with Sid doing almost 1,000 damage a pop here, this is going to be... Oh, and yeah, getting the benefits of Rubicante's mage typing with that rune axe doing a whole hell of a lot of damage and just knocking him out with one blow there.
Oh yeah, that mage type, it's a very obscure thing because it only comes up for that form during the elements fight and not for his normal fight, so it's very easy to overlook, but Dusty did not and was just happy to let it come back around to Sid's turn and just go and cut him down with that rune axe. And Swimmy is going up Mount Hobbs now. I wonder if he's feeling up to picking up another Tella, or if he's just feeling that he wants to get something out of this. It is Dark Elf, so it can be somewhat free. But Error is going to go and leave that Ordeals, and is probably going to see what Mist Dragon gives us while Dusty is getting his Magma Key and going through the Mylon fight as well.
The nice thing about this is Swimmy is giving us our first look at what actual sprite we have for our third Tella, and it is a beautiful young Tella palette created by our community's very own Scala Kitty. One of my favorite looks for Tella.
It is. It gives Tella a bit extra flavor, a bit extra personality. Meanwhile, we find a Sand Ruby from Demas, so that's one of the twins. I wonder if Error's going to go and pick them up right away.
Yeah, honestly, either of the twins would be great to have right now. Porum, though, not typically the preferred white mage, is, definitely going to be an asset to this party, as even though Tella has his full spell list, he's not going to be a very consistent healer. Cure 4 is not going to hit very hard, and is going to take out much of his MP pool, so... Yeah, but if it is indeed the Quake Kid, that is a huge And it is Palom indeed. So the Quake Kit is acquired.
This team now has some very good damage. With access to the underground, you can probably find sirens. You can get Quake Kit, Quake with just one egg, and then you will be ready to.
And to answer question in chat, Wildfire, yes. Once you have done Ordeals and Free Enterprise, all Tellas that exist within the seed, whether they are recruited or not, have full access to their spell list. The same happens for all Cecils become Paladins after Ordeals, and a couple other places as well. If you've done Tower of Zod, all Roses learn Exit, and once you encounter the Rubicante spot in Upper Babel, all edges will learn their extra ninjutsu spells as well.
Indeed, an error going to that Kaipo or Baron Inn spot to go and fight the Baron guards. Going to see the Dark Imps after there, and he might go and kick himself a little bit for spending so much time talking through Ordeals. Meanwhile, Dustygriff is turning in his Sand Ruby and is probably going to be going to the underground a little bit sooner than Error, though maybe not by much. Penguin8r finishing off his Ordeals. Swimmylionni finishing up that Dark Elf to get his third Tella.
He's going to go check those chests in the back of Mount Hobbs here. With access to Exit, this is a very simple check and can sometimes give you some good stuff. Not too much great there. The Crystal Helm is some good cash, but nothing phenomenal.
Yeah. And Error seems to be having a little bit of trouble with this fight, but he does have all of his spells and is going to throw out those multicast stones and gets it without having to spend that 15,000 gold Dusty had to.
That's a savings.
Yeah, that's definitely something where I only buy a few coffins when I'm playing because they are very expensive, and I am gone and reset out of fights on the moon that gave a large chunk of experience just to preserve them because they make such a big difference in some of these fights.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There is just general having that sort of knowledge about what bosses can be exploited by not having the normal boss bit that prevents most status effects from hitting them. Some of these boss fights are actually just jazzed up regular encounters, so they don't have that boss bit preventing it. And knowing that can save you a lot of heartache and some serious time if you've got the right items to deal with them.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great items you can go and pick up with the specifically the JI flag, which is J items. If you've played Final Fantasy IV and don't recognize half these things, don't worry, you weren't just forgetting stuff. These weren't in our game. They were in the Japanese edition that were removed for this release, but have been added back with that, and they had a lot of interesting decisions to this, in my opinion.
Yeah, Square deciding that us Westerners just weren't smart enough to figure out what coffins were gonna do, so we don't get to play around with those.
Oh yeah, and Swimmylionni going and taking the old men into the fight and just beating down these hooligans in the bar, saying, "How dare you go and interrupt my favorite shows."
And Dusty Griffin tomorrow, let's see if Dusty Griff is going to be the hero chat needs and checks on the temp job dwarf. Temp job dwarf.
If he doesn't, Rex is going to come after him. Finding Spackus, sirens, and those vampires I mentioned, but with the Cid in the party, they're a lot less important.
No check. Oh, Dusty Griff, run invalidated. But immediately heading over to that peninsula on the west side of the underground, where we get those delicious egg spawns. This is a really great way to get your party some early game power, especially since he was able to find sirens there in Tamara. Sirens guarantee that you get the rarest encounter in any particular spot that you're at. And the rare counter here happens to be this egg that gives a large amount of experience and is pretty easily dealt with in a number of ways. So you're going to see a huge power spike on Dusty Griff's screen here.
Oh yeah, and he's just one level away from Quake on the Quake Kid, which that's going to go and bring up his team DPS significantly. That Callum learning Quake at level 23 is one of the biggest reasons why he's one of the best black mages in the game, and probably one of the best characters to get in general.
Yeah, Quake is just such a useful spell. In addition to just having an enormous base power, it targets all enemies without the normal power reduction that comes from targeting all. And because of that, it can also go through things like Reflect. The only real problem that it has is it can't hit flying creatures, but those are very few and far between. Quake is just a phenomenal spell in this game.
Oh yeah, that's why Plague is always smiling when you see him. You can't touch him with Quake.
Thankfully, Plague has a number of other ways to that he can be dealt with. Quake, just not one of them.
Oh yes, and Penguin8r not far behind Dusty, getting his Sirens, seeing Tomra. Swimmy's still going and beating his way through those guards. Error cleaning up more of the overworld, as it seems he had skipped Fabul and has now gotten his pass. And Dusty is sleeping outside of Dwarf Castle to go and check there to get maybe a 5th party member and a key item check, whilst Penguin is going down to straight down into Feymarch, not going to looking to expand his party or grind, I believe.
Yeah, this is a very interesting play by dustygriff that's sort of indicative of the sort of seed we've seen so far. Normally, Dwarf Castle isn't a huge priority when you first go underground because you've got to get through 2 bosses, some lengthy cutscenes, all for 1 key item. But it's really probably that character that he's looking for more than ever because he does not have a very powerful team. So probably hoping that there's going to be some sort of really solid character that can round this party out here.
Yeah, I'll say that you could probably take down Zeromus with this current party, but it would probably be a bit stressful, and it's just going to struggle with a number of other encounters on the way to Zeromus, probably. So this is definitely something I agree with, going and trying to get that another party member to help boost the power level, make these fights a bit easier, maybe find someone to use that Avenger.
And on Penguin8r's screen, finding the Darkness Crystal inside the Feymarch chest. So that is a freely available Darkness Crystal to all of our runners here this seed. Interesting to see how things get played from there, because this is certainly not a party that I would want to take to the moon early.
That's definitely something, though. You could get a 5th character, leave a Palom dead, and do the D-Machine grind with Tella and slingshot them way up to nuke and just start blowing everything up. That is not something I would go and consider a terrible plan. Meanwhile, dustygriff getting through the Karate Man and Dwarf and seeing Odin with Hallam as a party member there. Not the best twin, but still a helpful one at least.
And it looks like it was an electrical drafter that the temp job dwarf was. Thank you very much, Error, for validating your run and checking that for us. Well, the good news about picking Porum up here is we did have that life staff earlier. That's going to be pretty much glued to Porum, one has to imagine, for the time being.
Oh yeah, that will go and give her a big boost to her white magic. She'll probably go and gain some levels with her. Unfortunately, it takes her so long to learn a lot of the good white magic spells like Cure 3 and Cure 4. So I don't know how much use he's been able to pull out of that life staff, but we do see Penguin8r summoning the big whale and getting ready to go to the moon. He checked these Feymarch bosses, but I unfortunately missed who they were.
And this will be definitely very interesting because he's going to get our first look at what free character is available at the Lunar Altar, and that could be a game changer right there, depending on who it is.
Oh yeah, and we see that dustygriff did get a vanilla Luca key as well. So these are some very interesting paths. swimmylionni also finishing up his Baron play, has his Sid, and I believe he's now ready to go and do Ordeals, while Error is going into Dwarf Castle and checking the shops, which Dusty, I believe, skipped. cabins are found on the moon. That's a pretty important thing. If you're planning on doing any level of moon grind, you're going to want to go and get those. And I saw a heroine robe in penguin8r's inventory, so there are some around somewhere that can go and definitely turn Forum into something a bit different. Maybe not the best fighter, but definitely a passable one.
Yeah, especially if they're able to find something like a strong bow. We do have those Artemis arrows that were found very early. Complementing that with either a samurai or an Artemis bow would turn Forum into some kind of damage dealer.
Oh yes, and an elven bow would let her take out the remaining mages. And the bosses in Feymarch are Bigan and Octomam. Not easy bosses. Dustygriff debating, resetting. I think he's going to rest up and try and take out that Octomam.
I like this. I like that. Nope, that's an exit.
Yeah, Octomam is doable, but you are a bit lacking in this team. You can go and have those Tellas through those blanks, get some defense going, and maybe power through that way, but it would take time, and he's instead choosing to go and check Sheila 1 to see if Sheila holds the good.
Yeah, don't blame our runners whatsoever for trying to go for the checks here. Things are getting tough. Bosses are getting more HP. They're getting more dangerous at this point, and they really haven't significantly increased their party power by any real substantial amount. So yeah, getting those easy checks in, trying to find something that gives them some sort of progress or power boost here is definitely a solid play here.
And speaking of power boost, we see Penguin8r going to the Giant of Babel. He checked his levels, and I believe I didn't see what character he got on the moon, but he has 3 characters at level 20 and his Palom's at level 10, so he will get the 3 times experience bonus from the slingshot and gain triple experience and just be able to be thrown straight into nuke. I think Penguin8r is deciding, you know what, I'm done playing nice. I'm getting big scary spells on this Palom, and I am going to go and destroy the seed.
Yeah, this is such an interesting play. I really, really like this. He's sort of betting on the idea that, yeah, all of these tiny little checks and everything probably aren't going to get me where I want to be. I've got the Darkness Crystal. I want to be deep in the moon right now, making those juicy, juicy lunar subterranean checks. And, probably betting on the fact that the other runners are going to be looking at those little onesie, twosie spots with a pretty weak team. He's going to go, no, I want a powerhouse right now. Let's do this. That's a really, really gutsy call, and I really like it.
Oh yeah, it's going to take some time, but when he gets out of this, he is going to demolish almost every boss left in the game. And it was another Tella on the moon. You cannot leave Earth to escape Tellas. They are everywhere. They are legion. And we have Dustygriff going to Twin Harp, being the people's hero to give us the first taste of music today.
Yeah, this is probably his personal apology for not checking the temp job dwarf, and I feel it's proper recompense.
Needs to go and pay his penance to chat and everyone else for letting us down, but going to try and be the hero to redeem himself. Just like, Cecil in the vanilla game becoming a paladin to redeem himself for being a Dark Knight.
Yeah, Final Fantasy IV is a game about redemption and overcoming your, overcoming past faults. So, yeah, this is a very proper move by Dustygriff to stay true to the themes of the original game.
Naturally, he couldn't go and just, always be the good guy. He had to go and be the villain first so he can really show how good he can be.
The question, does Penguin have any way to heal MP? I believe Penguin was the one who picked up those succubuses earlier.
I think so. I think I spied some ethers in his inventory, so he should be able to go and get something out of this.
He's got a trio of ether 2s, and if he's got those succubuses, he can siphon a little bit of MP from Palom, much like one might steal gasoline from an idle vehicle.
Indeed, though he's only that weak missing, which could be dangerous because when I believe D Machines counter with physical attacks. Yes, if you hit them, with any damage, they just immediately counter with physical attacks. Otherwise, they just spam fire. And we have Chrono Trigger music from dustygriff stream singing the song of Scala's people. And it is Kanizo and Penguin8r having a little bit of a dicey start to that D machine grind, but recovering and getting into it. Meanwhile, Error is going down and getting ready for that Shield of 1 check as well. swimmylionni is finished up Ordeals, is going to check to see what get that Sand Ruby from D-Mist and make his way underground. Kaniza almost down, retreating into his shell when he's below 25% HP and just trying to go and heal up and hope that people with big scary axes don't... Oh, he got turned into turtle soup.
That's sad. Poor guy. Well, you know, he came to wreck the serenity of 1000 AD and was not able to do so.
Oh yeah, and he is just a ribbon from music, not being rewarded. Keeping it because it can go and have its uses for sure, but that is definitely not what he was hoping to see.
Sheila giving a rat tail, which is interesting, but with no hook available, of no immediate use to our runners.
Oh yeah, this is a big question. Where does Dusty go now? He doesn't have a team ready to slingshot, so D Machines is not the best option for him. He does have his Darkness Crystal and can go Moon and just grind gold dragons and throw weeks to take them out. But he's not exactly... There's no great obvious place to go.
Yeah, and the more and more we get these checks uncovered by the other runners, the more and more Penguin8r's play here is looking Galaxy Brain. They're just getting no progress whatsoever on these easy checks. Penguin8r, meanwhile, is well on his way to having a superpowered Palom that can carry him through all of those endgame moon spots, and I think Penguin8r is on the verge of having a massive lead here.
Yeah, Penguin8r is definitely in a great spot. He's Dusty's got Porum, but Porum is not the best carry. She is better than a third Tella for certain, but it's not going to go and be... I mean, this is definitely the best play. Go get a Palom and bring him up to the point where he can carry your entire seed, bring everything to his knees with Nuke, and destroy everything that stands in your way, while the rest of the runners are hoping for anyone else who can do that and not being rewarded.
Yeah, exactly. Just to sort of take inventory here, we have the Luca cave, sealed cave, in play as a possible check. We have Keyless Tower that could be a possible check, and we've got the 2 Eidolon Royalty in the Feymarch as possible checks. But other than that, that's it. Everything else is on the moon.
Yeah, and the moon can either be holding a whole bunch of chains to lead everyone astray, or send them to, be a deep rabbit hole to find your legend or your adamant. Or they could... It's very hard to tell, and none of the spots are very easy to go with this team.
Error getting the 4th old man of the seed and deciding, enough is enough. We're not creating a retirement home here.
This is not a Golden Years community. Please leave. But what is a golden community, or at least gold star, would be our restreamer today of Legend Harvest and our tracker of Rinnet. Thank you both very much for your help. And Swoomy's going and finding his own sirens and his own set of boos to carry him. And Error is just diving into the lunar subterranean.
This is Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. I was just mentioning that Dusty is going back to Earth, so this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit shocked that Error is just going for it. Maybe hoping that he comes across some of those freebie bosses here. Like, don't believe we've seen Water Hag. There are a couple of other fights that would be relatively easy, but this is a bit of a gamble on Error's spot here.
Yeah, the free fights I can think of, we have Bahamut, who can be defeated with just Wall. Water Hag, as you mentioned, who will just take 3 physical attacks to defeat. We've already seen most of the stoppable bosses in the form of Dark Elf, Dark Imps, Baron Guards, and Kaipo Guards. So there's very few easy sources of experience, but he is instead... he is popping a siren, but forgetting that his team is kind of low HP.
Yeah, I like it with the weeks. He can take advantage of this King Ryu grind here with relative ease, but yeah, he's might take a little bit of a wipe here, depending on whether this King Ryu's get another attack queued up here. No, looks like he's safe. So managed to survive with a 1 HP Tela there.
Error, please. That was my heart can't take this.
I was entirely calculated. He's a professional.
Meanwhile, we see Dusty going and diving Keyless Tower, seeing what he can get there. For going, just grinding up Palums to get grinding up his characters to get some more experience. And Penguin8r has finished his D Machine grind, and I believe he has Nuke on his Palum. He is ready to go and prove how mighty he is. And dustygriff finding the free boss on top of tower, 2 free bosses to be honest.
Yeah, we have seen, no one likes to go into tower keyless, but we've seen a fair number of keyless tower plays so far this league. And, it's one of those things that, no one wants to go up there without the key, but, sometimes it can really pay off.
Oh yeah, if this holds the tower key or an adamant and tower key is somewhere deep down in a rabbit hole, this will definitely give Dusty something to go and smile about.
And Penguin8r going back underground is going to get caught up on some of those subterranean bosses. Get caught up with where some of the other runners here have checked out. And this is going to get him the Luca key. We'll see if he decides to immediately follow up on that or check some of the other places first.
Yeah, he certainly does have a reason to really delay on that, because he can most certainly go and destroy that. And dustygriff is finishing up his top of tower fight, and we'll see what he's rewarded with. Is he going to get progress, or is he going to just reset out? Adamant! That is a prize.
And what did we just say about Keyless Tower?
It's burned me a few times, but it's not burning Dusty today.
Well, it could be a burn if the key ends up giving the legends. Then it could be a little bit of a...
Very true.
Playing a little bit of Inventory Fantasy 4, everyone's favorite mini game in Free Enterprise.
I have been defeated by that boss so many times, I don't want to talk about it. And Penguin8r showing the difference in the strength of team with him just destroying Odin and the Karate Man, while swimmylionni is just getting into the Odin fight despite starting it sooner.
Yeah, that's the power of Nuke right there. It is a very, very strong spell, not just as far as base attack power, but actually negates a bit of your target's magic resistance, so it can pierce some of that nasty spell resistance that some of the enemies have. It's not elemental, so you don't have to worry about any elemental absorption. Just a phenomenal spell altogether.
Oh yeah, it's definitely something. I mean, when I said I would go and take the team of Tela, Sid, and Palum to Z, I was not lying. That is a team that You have Palom reflect nukes, and Sid throws Tier 3s, and you can destroy Z in just maybe 2 or 3 big bangs.
Of that ability to skip the HP refill is an excellent way to approach Z with a party like this.
Oh yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of reflex strats today. This is definitely not a team that's ready to beat Zeromus' face in with any real weapons.
Yeah, one of the great things about this caliber of runner on display from all 4 of our runners today, with the sort of unconventional start, I guess we'll call it, that we've seen, is that you really get to see free enterprise pushed to the basically pushed to its limits. You get to see all sorts of strategies coming out. You get to see just how resourceful you're able to be with the tools given to you, and it makes things very, very interesting.
Oh yeah, this definitely makes. I thought I knew a lot about Final Fantasy IV when I started playing Free Enterprise, and I learned how little I knew after playing for a while and watching some of these races. There is so much depth to this. There are so many different ways to go and approach these. It's very impressive. It's outright amazing in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a real testament to just how fortunate we were that Final Fantasy IV is the game that it is, that it lends itself to this kind of emergent gameplay just as much as it is. And it's one of the things that I really love about these randomizers, is it lets all of these little things that exist in the game that you don't normally get to explore because, so much more efficient and better options exist. It really lets them shine, and it shows just how much work and care was put into the original game to just give you this wealth of options. Oh, is that the Fabul Gauntlet?
Error is having some fun right now.
Now, we have startlingly different definitions of fun, Baka.
Look, I may or may not define masochism as fun in my life, but this is something that'll get him. He'll get through it. He has hourglasses. He can go and heal between fights, but this is going to be a bit slow. Meanwhile, dustygriff is getting through that Octomam's fight, going and getting bring out those illusions, putting Blink up, throwing out quakes, and slowly whittling down Octomam's arm, so he gets slower and slower and easier to go and manage.
Yeah, Octomam really scary in a spot like this. The 2 Eidolon spots have very high speed, so it can be very difficult to manage, especially a fight with Octomam, which is all about having that blazing speed and having to cut through those tentacles in order to slow down. But once you've got this fight managed, it should be a lot easier on him. Already the tentacles starting to drop. Should be able to start the healing process here, getting back stabilized, and getting this fight dealt with.
Oh yeah, he's definitely going, and he's through the worst of it now. He's definitely on easy street. He's going to go and get this cleared. Error definitely has this under control, and penguin8r is ready to go and just start showing up everyone by destroying this moon. Swimmylionni making the first trip to Feymarch, seeing those bosses and leaving. Things are progressing.
Now this is a little bit interesting because penguin8r is now going into the same fight that Error is in, that Fabul Gauntlet there. And it's one of these situations where even though penguin8r has done all that grind, I don't expect him to do this much faster than Error is, because the big advantage of doing that grind is Nuke, but if Nuke has one drawback, it's single target only, and the Fabul Gauntlet is something where you want strong multi-target spells available, but both those Paloms have Quake. That's about as strong as it's going to get.
Yeah, though I think penguin8r has the edge because he has his Palom in the top slot, while Error has him in the bottom slot. This means when Palom is relative agility 1 or higher relative agility, he is going to be the first character that comes up in the turn queue and gets to throw off his quakes, which goes and kills off. Sometimes it kills off those guards before they get to take an action. And not this time, though. He must have been a little slow on inputs. But that was what I was going to say was going to be the big way to save time, where he could go and potentially get quakes off before the general or get the fighters killed before the general goes and gives his command, and just clear the fight faster that way.
Meanwhile, dustygriff was rewarded with a hook, going to go turn in that rat tail, and all it is some ninja garb.
poor Dusty. He's going all these places. Well, he did go and get his adamant, so he's been rewarded in some of them. And others have just kind of given him very fancy dressery.
Yeah, he is. He still has the hovercraft. He's taking it down to Evelyn Cave. We might see a character check here in Evelyn.
Yeah, I wonder if he's looking for Cure 3s, because I don't know if he found them yet. He might just be checking the shop, but he could be looking for a character, because if we find someone who can use that Avenger, Penguin8r's lead gets a little less certain.
Someone who can use an Avenger. Come on, we both know it's Stella number 5.
I mean, I don't want to say it until it happens, because I don't want to go and curse someone, but, you know, it's...
Yeah, I should probably watch what I say. I have a nasty tendency to...
I mean, misery is funny, and I enjoy it in the moment, though. I hate to go and, like, not be surprised by it. But he is going straight for that character. He is looking for it. He wants to go and upgrade this team. He finds a very different old man.
That is Tella plus.
That old man is very welcome in this country.
Yeah, you drop a master seal on Tella, and he promotes into this gentleman here, Fusoya.
Ah, well, dustygriff probably has nuke at this point as well, so that's definitely something that it's not an Avenger user, but it is a good pickup.
Yeah, and I didn't get a quick look at his HP total joining, but with the amount of bosses our runners have done, he's got to be either at max or close to it.
Yeah, 1700 HP. That means he has one boss left to go and learn the remaining spells, and he will, if he doesn't have nuke already, he'll have it after one more.
And well, there's that free fight we were talking about, Water Hag.
Yeah, free fight in the plague spot. Not a lot of experience, so it's not terribly helpful for error, but you will be able to get through it without much difficulty.
Yeah, imagine Anna's surprise when she came here to encourage her boyfriend and instead found 2 copies of her father.
Dad, this isn't what it looks like, honest.
Dustygriff, our first runner to make that sealed cave check. Now, any of these checks that Dustygriff does that our other runners haven't have the potential to be huge, because he is the only one here that has found that oh no, I take it back, excuse me, there was a Legend Sword. That must have been from the D Lunar spot.
Yes, that was behind the gauntlet. That's we're in no mode. We know where everything is, and what we know is Dusty, if he wants to win this, needs to go to the moon. Any tower key is going to go and point the other runners to that tower and get there. So this is a very, very tight race.
Yeah, all it's going to take at this point is someone to make that correct call on the tower, or in Dusty's case, go to the moon. But honestly, the way our runners are routing right now, it might be quite some time before either of those things happen.
Yeah, the Penguin8r might be kicked off the moon when he finds Valvalis in the Ogopogo spot. This hits hard, this hits fast, and he's not going to be able to use nuke to beat this boss.
Yeah, and you got to wonder, does Penguin8r go and make other moon checks after getting blocked here? Or does he maybe go back to the surface to check some things there? I got to imagine he's going to want to stay on the moon, since he already did a couple of underground checks after doing his grind. But we know, unfortunately, that's not the way to go.
Yes, and Dustygriff getting the blank text box error when he picks up the loop key item, but looking at the tracker, discovers that he received the Baron key and finds Ogopogo guarding the way out.
Yeah, and he's definitely going to want to keep that and check that. Unfortunately, we know that there's nothing great to be gained there, but Dustygriff can't, with what he knows about this seed right now, cannot abandon the possibility that the Baron Key has what he needs.
Yeah, and he might get rabbit holed by that because we're almost an hour in. Granted, there's not going to be many duns. This is he did find adamant in Keyless Tower, so this is he might not feel too risky, but he might not go to the moon very quickly either.
And before he does anything, he's going to have to get through this Ogopogo. Very, very nasty in this location.
Indeed, and showing off that Reflect Strats are not just for Zeromus. Ogopogo will counter any non-lightning spell with Blaze, which does 25% of each party member's max HP as damage. Or if you cast a lightning spell, he fakes you out pretending to be weak to lightning and casts weak as a counter.
Yeah, there isn't anything Ogopogo has in its AI script that is, generally speaking, fun for the player.
I mean, at least his punches are not the worst thing they could be right now, and that's probably the only thing that's keeping this up, because this is not a very fun fight. This boss is mean, he hates you, and wants to make sure you go and suffer. Meanwhile, Error is fighting Pale Dim, which I'm going to guess is at the Wyvern spot. Based on the other bosses he's fight, he probably saw that Valvalis and just decided, no, I am not going through that.
Yeah, he did not even attempt the Valvalis fight. I think he noped out of that as soon as he saw what he was up against. And yeah, I believe this is Wyvern that he went over to. But penguin8r is never say never. He's given it an honest try, and his party's looking a little worse for wear. But we'll see if he can pull this out.
penguin8r showing us why Blink is a fantastic spell that everyone should go and really appreciate Tella for having.
Ooh. These missed physicals by Valvalis are...
You don't need more than... you only need one hit point. If they can't hit you, that's all that matters, right?
That's very true. That you only need one hit point. That is the only... The last hit point is the only one that matters.
Yeah, one hit point and the rest are vanity.
He seems to... He's got it. Wow. Great job, penguin8r. That was not a fun fight to have to get through, and he nails it.
Yes, we would have.
And a Dragoon Spear.
Don't you wish you had Kane to deal with that, so you'd use that nuke that you... Oh, right. You don't have Kane. I'm sorry. Have a consolation prize. The Spear for Kane. dustygriff just finishes his fight with Ogopogo, getting out of the sealed cave.
Ooh, the Baron check and Kane is there.
I don't know if I would... It'd be an improvement. Actually, I don't know how much of an improvement it would be for his team. I guess he would be able to get rid of Sid, but he could get rid of Porum, actually. He has Visoya. Porum doesn't get 1900 HP until long past the time you'd actually want to go and be getting Porum HP, or getting Porum levels. So Porum might be getting the boot depending on where Dusty goes.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. You've got to think that's going to be his next play is Baron.
Yeah, he committed hard to that Ogopogo fight. And Ralstar, correct. Adamant was on top of tower. Legend Sword was in the Lunar ribbon spot, guarded by the Gauntlet.
And here we go. Heads back to his hometown. Miracle Max says, have fun storming the castle, and we're going to see a Baron check here.
Which we know is not the correct check, but it will be a check. And Error receiving the spoon from the Wyvern spot, guarded by Pale Dim. Meanwhile, Swimmy is catching up in levels and experience, just grinding up on Gold Dragons, choosing not to do a D-Machine grind, but just get his levels that way. I think he's going to go straight to Nuke because he kind of probably wants that.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest offensive bump that his team could possibly get. That combined with the fact that we're really at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to easy bosses to get through. It's going to have to be relatively honest with the rest of the fights that are available in this pool. So yeah, having Nuke on your side is going to be a huge benefit there.
Indeed, and Error is going back in to check the Paladin spot, resting up in his big whale, because I guess he didn't go and check the naming way shop for cabins or didn't buy them because he availed himself to that free heal.
Dustygriff encountering the Pain Man here shouldn't be any problem at all with a Sid and a Fusoya with their bloated HP totals here. Yeah, no problem. Just gonna walk right through this and fight the king. Actually, he's not even gonna let him attack. He's just gonna nuke him.
No speech today, Mr. Dark Knight. No speech today. Error finding Evil Wall at the Paladin spot. Not the best boss because Nuke, actually he doesn't have Nuke, he is just going to be relying on Sid. This could be a little dicey because he does not have that ribbon that Dusty found.
Yeah, it's questionable whether he's going to have the damage to get through this. This will be interesting to see.
Oh yeah, meanwhile Dusty finding the D Lunars on the throne of Baron, and he is going to drop them down a very large hole.
Yeah, that is a pretty tame spot to run into D Lunars. So at least that's one particularly nasty boss that you don't have to worry about later. It's Edward, and the fail team is complete.
Look, Edward is a hero in his own story sometimes.
So yeah, that Baron play just completely without payoff.
If Baron has Tower Key, that might end up being better for Dusty because it might go and get other runners to go through that Luca Cave check and just not come to Tower for a while.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That would mean that would at least put in Dusty's minds that, well, people are going to have to chase this rabbit hole before they go do Tower. So my adamant might be a little secure right now. And there it is. Good call.
Well, if I could go and do that in my races.
So that is very interesting. That means all three of our other runners are going to have to do either a keyless tower check in order to get the adamant, or they're going to have to chase that Luca key into Sealed Cave, into Baron to get the tower key to then do the tower check. This means Dusty is in a pretty good spot as far as routing is considered. All he needs to do is commit to the moon, and then he has got the Legend Sword under control, and it is a good spot to take this race.
Oh yeah, that D Lunar spot is a very good spot. He may reset out of Gauntlet though, because he might feel I'm behind. I can't afford to spend this much time doing it. But we'll see. He is checking the Asura spot now. Speaking of Asura, she is found, or excuse me, this is Odin's spot. Asura is in the Feymarch.
And I think
Asura is on the.
I think this has to be Plague, right? No, Wyvern, even worse. Gets the Star Veil out though, so not bad. Looks like he's going to survive this fight.
Dustygriff showing us the importance of being able to run buffer under pressure.
Is a very vital strategy to be able to execute.
Yes, run buffering is when there is a text box on the screen, such as someone talking, or the can't run text box. Enemies can't go and input commands, so you can go and spend the time to input yourself. That gives you a bit of an advantage, so you can go and queue up that Star Veil before Wyvern goes and queues up his Mega Nuke.
Oh, here we go on Penguin8r's screen. He has abandoned the moon and is chasing the Luca key. Now, this is going to be a big runaround, but this could eventually put him on the right course that he needs to be to go check that tower.
And he's got a Palom-wielding nuke. He's going to go and make much shorter work of that Ogopogo.
And an Excalibur for dustygriff, an Excalibur and an Avenger, and no Cecil in sight. That is sad.
Indeed, and unless I'm mistaken, that exhausts all checks on Earth for Dusty. He's can't do Tower of Zot. He has cleared Baron. He's cleared all of the underground except for the pan checks. He has nothing left to do on Earth, so he is going to go to the moon now. Now the question is, where does he go on the moon?
Yeah, if he does the popular strategy of, going for those high value locations early, that Lunar spot, he will get rewarded. Oh, looks like he's going to go turn in the tower key, actually.
He did commit hard for it, so he does want to go make value of that, and I did forget that he just got that, but, willing it into an existence.
Now, I think probably the worst thing that could happen here is if he gets either Pan or the Earth Crystal, and the Pan leads the Earth Crystal or something along those lines. He could get sidetracked into his Tower of Zot play, which would be devastating.
Oh yeah, that would definitely go and be very bad for him, just getting rabbit holed all over the place.
Oh, I take that back. The Earth Crystal is on the moon, so that cannot rabbit hole.
Okay, so the worst rabbit hole he can get is the Pan.
Yeah, which doesn't look like it leads to any remaining side quest items. So this isn't going to get him progress, but thankfully it's not going to give him the wrong idea. And he should know after this that the moon is where to go.
I'm getting a somewhat annoying, but not terribly awful fight in the form of Dr. Luigi here, who's 2 fights, a little bit of talking, a lot of talking actually. And then he goes and keeps talking some more, but if you can kill him fast enough, he'll just be kind of quiet. Meanwhile, Penguin8r going and facing it off with that Ogopogo, going and slinging nukes, hitting him as hard as he can, just saying, yes, I know you're going to go and burn me. I'm going to burn you harder.
Yeah, really showing off just how much easier life becomes when you've got that nuke spell available.
Oh yeah, that D-Machine grind is paying off some serious dividends this siege for Penguin8r.
And swimmylionni is mere moments away from picking up the Legend Sword for himself. We'll see what decision he decides to make after that.
Indeed, he left some stuff on Earth just to come up here and grind a while and get his characters up. So I know he must feel behind at this point. He had a very slow early game and really is probably trying to make up some time somewhere.
Yeah, that's really one of the worst feelings in the world, especially when you're in a field that's only 4 deep, is, how behind am I? Like, I know that I have made some personal mistakes. How back am I? How can I, try to avoid the easy play to try to, maybe do something others aren't doing and recover some ground here? And that can just really put you in a funk as far as messing with your routing. It's something that I know I personally have struggled a lot with trying to get through a seed like this, especially one this difficult. Is just what am I supposed to be doing right here, because I don't seem to be making any progress.
Yeah, that's something where it is very hard to go, and when you're behind, you have to make some wild play to make it happen. It has to go and be in one of those off locations that no one wants to do, because otherwise, yeah, you've lost a lot of time, and the other runners have probably been here sooner than you. But he does get his Legend Sword. He is going, and we'll see what he goes to do. Meanwhile, dustygriff is heading into the Lunar subterrane. Penguin8r heading into Baron. It is going to be a very, very close race between them, because Dusty probably needs to do some grinding to get ready for these fights.
Yeah, I don't believe we've seen a dedicated grind from dustygriff. Some of our other runners have done things like we saw Penguin8r doing the D Machine grind. We've seen Error fighting a couple of King Ryus, but dustygriff, I believe, has done nothing of the sort. So even if he does very quickly pick up the Legend Sword here, he's still going to have to get a few fights under his belt to make sure he's ready for that Zeromus fight.
Oh yeah, he's definitely most grinding he did was a few eggs underground, and Swimmy is going to commit to checking the rest of the underground while Penguin8r just blazing through Baron and about to get his Baron key.
Yeah, this is going to be tight. Dustygriff is looking like it's beelining right for that D Lunar location. Is going to have to get through that Gauntlet fight. Let's hope he doesn't reset out of Gauntlet. Trying to look for a speedier check. But yeah, this is going to come down to the wire here.
Oh yeah, and Error has finished off Cave Bahamut and is back on Earth, and we'll see where he goes. If he looks to be going to check that Earth Crystal, I think.
Yeah, looks like that's the case, and that is really unfortunate because we know there is nothing there. Maybe might pick up a character that can use some of that really great melee equipment we found, but this deep into the game, I don't know if he would even take them.
Yeah, it's really hard to justify taking, like, even with 2 Telos in your team, it's hard to justify going and taking a fresh character from after clearing all the moon. Dusty seeing that Gauntlet and not resetting out, he is trying to go and take this out as best he can without doing any grinding.
So yeah, that's key. Dustygriff needs to do this fight, needs to do it now if he's going to stay competitive with Penguin8r, who just picked up the tower key. And if that is the next play that he makes, well, no, a little extra time for Dustygriff because it looks like Penguin8r is going to check that Odin spot, only going to get rewarded with an Excalibur, not going to get the key item progression that he wants.
Oh yeah, and Wyvern, I mean, it'll depend on if he just decides to stick out through Wyvern. He might go and say, no, forget Wyvern. I don't feel like dealing with you right now. But he might also think, Wyvern, no one likes this guy. He might have what I need.
Yeah, and that is one of those things where it really comes down to how well do you know the people you're racing against. These are some of the best players in the world when it comes to free enterprise. And trying to figure out would they nope out at Wyvern or would they stick around and try to fight it?
And he's choosing to fight it. He's going and surviving that first Mega Nuke with the very well-timed run buffer, similar to how Dustygriff did it. Got his first got a life potion off and is going to go and try and get through the rest of this fight. And Palom taking a nuke, but not dying because Palom has a lot of HP and a lot of magic made, it seems.
That's an HP total that you're used to seeing from Rosa in the final fight, and instead we see it on Palom. That's just like that is indicative right there of how much experience he was able to get out of that D Machine grind. That is phenomenal.
And then he got even more from clearing all of the moon, and I don't think he was at 10 key items when he did it, but he Palom goes down from a very unlucky nuke. Well, Dustygriff is slowly getting through this gauntlet. I think he's on the 5th of the 6 fights. And wow, Wyvern does not like Palom for Penguin8r.
Yeah, and this is crazy right now because every second that Penguin8r spends fighting that Wyvern is just another second Dustygriff is getting closer and closer to go mode. And he's going to go back in. Oh, no.
This is going to be tight. Dusty does have to grind. That is some time that Penguin8r has to go and take first. Dusty, he's not going to go and beat Zeromus with a Fu and a Sid, I think. He's going to want to go and get Nuke on Palom and take him out that way. But
yeah, it's also interesting to note that he did pick up Edward from Baron Castle there, and I'm not sure if he plans to use him for hide strats or if he's going to keep him dead and use him as an agility anchor. I don't know what Edward's base agility is. I know Edward gets pretty decent agility growth. No, it looks like he's got his he's got a Teledead that he's using for agility anchoring purposes. So yeah, probably going to use some of those high-level hide strats on Edward as like a safety net that can pop out, throw some healing out, and run away.
Yeah, you can definitely go and just get a few levels on Edward, and he's going to be fast enough to outspeed that Tella, especially if that Tella has a curse string. And you can go and you don't have to worry about keeping a Sid alive to throw Cure 3s. You can just have Edward come in and out with Cure 3s, put a wall on him so that he goes and can just bounce the nukes, and you can save a bit of time on your Z-Plate that way. But dustygriff has finished. He is saving outside of Castle Cave Bahamut. He's probably going to do his grind here, excuse me.
Yeah, sometimes the value in Cave Bahamut is the experience that you get. And sometimes the value in Cave Bahamut is the friends we made along the way.
Or the friends you went there to make and have found have just left for the day because they're at the Guarding the Way underground. Meanwhile, Air finishing off CPU at the Mega Sister spots. So we're going to see what he goes for with this. And yeah, he's equipping his characters, getting ready, and penguin8r going into tower. This is going to be a race between penguin8r finishing top of tower. Maybe he makes a detour to turn a tower key, or maybe he's going to decide just one item. I want to hit top first, and then I'll go and see if I want to use this tower key.
Yeah, exactly. Now, it looks like penguin8r has not done Fabul, so does not have the pass. So he's going to have to take the walk of shame down to Zeromus. Meanwhile, dustygriff does have the pass, can go right to Zeromus as soon as he's done with his grind. So that's going to be another one of those little things that can add up to a major time difference between these two runners.
Oh yeah, this is definitely something that this is going to be close. And penguin8r is choosing not to use that tower key. He's just going to the top and is going to go and see King Queen Evelyn, and is going to get his adamant pretty quickly.
And there's the Kane we've been looking for all seed. He was on top of tower time. Couldn't tell if that was vanilla or French vanilla Kane, but finally we can put that Avenger to use.
It was a vanilla Kane. And Error fighting with the inventory boss, trying to go and get enough room to unequip Sid with his Dwarf Axe, I believe. And then just fighting the inventory boss, a terrible, terrible boss that we all struggled with every time we play. Yeah,
no matter how many strats I try to learn for the inventory boss, I still struggle.
Yeah, I figured, after moving, I'd get better at this whole don't carry around all that stuff. It's just no, I still like, but I could use this assassin dagger. It can go and instant kill stuff.
And there's the adamant for penguin8r, and he is our second runner to hit go mode. He has no grind to do, so now it is just a race to Zeromus. Folks, we have got a barn burner on our hands here.
Oh yeah, penguin8r, he's in the underground. He's going to get his crystal sooner. dustygriff is 1 or 2 straight fights away from getting nuke on Palom and getting white on Porum, so he's not far behind.
And to add insult to the injury of Tower of Zot so far, Error has to deal with Golbez. Probably going to be incredibly frustrated when he finds out that there was nothing of value here at the end of Zot.
Unless I'm mistaken, this could be the package? So I think this is the last key item spot we've seen. Pinktail was at Tower Key. Baron had the Tower Key and the Excalibur. There's not many places left to find.
I think it has to be the pan, and then the pan has to lead to the package.
Right, thank you. Ooh, and
Oof.
Golbez is not holding back today. He's in one of those very powerful magic spots, and he's just he's showing why he can totally be a main villain in this game. penguin8r is forging his crystal, getting ready. dustygriff is... It looks like he's trying to get white on Palom, which I'm guessing based on her HP, she's a bit shy.
Did penguin8r just leave without the crystal?
Oh
no!
This is, if he doesn't have the pass, this is going to be a no.
Yeah.
Please stop.
He does not have the pass. Oh my God, Baka, this is no. Oh, check your inventory. Yeah, you don't have the crystal. Come on, buddy. Go back. Okay, he's going back.
That's time for Dusty to go and catch up, but that is that would have been a very, very big walk of shame.
Yeah, no one wants to see a match end like that. Okay, there we go. He's got it. Crisis averted.
He's got it. He's ready to go. He's got to walk back, and Dusty has just landed on Earth. Is going to go and get his crystal. It is going to be very close. The biggest difference is dustygriff has 2 casters with Nuke and 1 with White, while penguin8r is kind of just riding that solo Palom with Nuke.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the tightest races I recall seeing in recent memory.
Oh yeah, they are going to both be in the Z fight at the same time. They're both going to be going, and they're going to be seconds away from each other. Meanwhile, Swimmy is going in and fighting through that Valvalis fight, and Error is still trying to go and deal with Golbez. dustygriff not making the mistake penguin8r made and getting his crystal right away.
You know, you think the Kokol Smith would at least say something as he sees you walking out of the shop empty-handed. Like, hey, I got this for you. Did you want it? Well,
I mean, maybe he's too happy finally having Adamant to work with and just making stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, no, it's like, wait, was I supposed to be making something for someone? It can't be that important. And Dusty is going to the pass, or the Troya to pub to turn in his pass and go straight to the Z fight. And I believe we have but one question left to ask.
Whose butt are we going to kick today?
Indeed, as the Z fight, we're not going to bring it into the normal boss pool because it's just too much, too complicated, too big of a thing, and just really too mean to go and put anywhere. But we still want to go and give them something to go and be randomized. So chat, if you have them, get your Z flags out and ask whose butt is getting... Ooh, and Error's on take 3 of his Golbez fight. That is very unfortunate.
Yeah, Golbez's just a really nasty fight no matter where you encounter him. There's just no way around it. You're getting limited down to 2 characters. You got to deal with all of those cutscenes. He's got really strong magic. It's just never fun to encounter him.
Oh, yeah. And penguin8r is on his way to the core, not far behind dustygriff.
The crystal is out. The sprite is flickering. His true colors are merging, and he is...
Everyone knows the true evil on the internet are the advertisements.
I am speechless. That is, I thought Clippiness was going to be the epitome of meta Z fights, but no, this takes it to a whole new level.
Scala, I need to give you some cookies for this one.
So dustygriff does not want this Z fight in his browser history and is going to fight against this ad block regulation here as best he can. Using those reflect strats here that we talked about earlier, bypassing the counterattack from directly attacking Zeromus with a nuke spell by reflecting it off of his own party members. This is also going to bypass the counterattack that would normally tell Zeromus to refill its HP at about halfway through to double the length of the fight. So, yeah, with really solid damage going out here, this should be a very Zeromus fight.
Oh yeah, and Penguin8r is right behind him, going and getting into his Z fight, going in, facing the wrath of Adblock Mus.
Eats the first Big Bang, no problem whatsoever, and is just going to go right back to piling that damage on.
Looks like, Penguin8r might be doing his unicorn strats, as we discussed previously, as he has Berserk Sid and is reflecting nukes with Pal.
Yeah, it doesn't have the Fusoya that dustygriff has, so he doesn't have as much nuke potential. As his opponent here is going to have to rely on that Sid to put out a little bit more damage here, and yeah, wouldn't be surprised if he unihorns him when he counts the damage close to that HP refill threshold.
Yeah, and it looks like he didn't even bother getting Porum up to white. She's just going with pretty much Sid and Palom. And that would be why he hit Edward. Porum's not really likely to survive a full-powered Big Bang, and he's not really going to want to go and nerf a Big Bang to go and risk a refill at certain points. But Edward can just hide and avoid. And Dusty has finished. He has come in first place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 1 second. GG to dustygriff.
Yeah, GG indeed. That was very, very well played. Some very smart routing decisions. Some very smart just overall strategies on individual fights. Really, really earned this win here today.
Oh yeah, Dusty is definitely a very strong player and made a lot of good decisions. He got rabbit holed a lot. He cleaned out a lot of these key item spots, but he really went and pulled it out.
Yeah, and that will be this being dustygriff's second match. He earned, looks like, a second place in his first match, so he's going to move up to 7 points in this league, which puts him in a really strong place. That's going to tie him with Aizen Tayama, Invenerable, and Zilch. So really, really strong showing here from dustygriff.
Oh yeah, this was definitely a very, very excellent performance by dustygriff. That is a lot of spots he cleared, and he got to the moon, went to the correct one, got his legend sword, and just pulled it out a little bit faster than Penguin8r.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because those two runners, Penguin8r and dustygriff, are going to finish very but they took very, very different routes going around to getting to this Z fight. So it really just goes to show you just how versatile and how crisscrossy your average free enterprise seed can be.
Oh yeah, there's a lot to go, and Penguin8r went and destroyed a lot of the seed with nuke, and Dusty just destroyed the seed with what he had before getting it there. And there is Penguin8r finishing in second place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 8 seconds. GG, Penguin8r.
GG's indeed, and I believe we are joined by our first place finisher here today, dustygriff. Dustygriff, GG, congratulations on your win.
Hey, thank you, GG's.
So how about that double tele start? What were you thinking when you saw that?
I thought to myself, fantastic, I love Tela. And then the third Tela at Hobbs is particularly amazing. It's interesting, when you start with double Tela, I know at the start I'm going to be doing a little more looting than usual, just because I'm looking for damage items to get through bosses, because really he doesn't have a good way, unless you get super lucky with recall, to get through stuff early. So that definitely affected my early route like heavily, and I was making good use of like the big bombs and grimoires and whatnot that I found. Got a little lucky with some of them too, but yeah, that was quite interesting, and yeah, he's pretty fun character.
Indeed, and you went to Baron Inn pretty early. How did you feel about seeing that Dark Imps after the Baron Guard?
It was good. I got a little worried because what I had done was I put one Tela in front row and one in back, and because I had a Lunar rod and like karate shirt, and a ninja helm, I think, on one of the Tellas. So I wanted him to like try and do some semblance of damage. But of course, that didn't go so well because he got just murdered in the front row. So I had to do that twice. But it was nice to see them there because I had overbought coffins kind of accidentally. But that was nice because I had enough to just go right back in and use coffins and get a little lucky to get through the second time. But just played it a little better that time. But that was, I figured I wanted to try and do that before I went up Ordeals because really I had no damage go up Ordeals and get through several bosses that have 3,000 or 4,000 health. So
yes, one of your opponents decided they wanted to go and get guaranteed value out of Tella early and went up there with a stack of Thor Rages to get through that Demist.
Also makes sense. Yeah, I saw there was some notice in Town of Baron. I actually didn't buy them originally. I said to myself after, oh, maybe I'll come back for those. The one time in my life that notice will be useful.
Yeah, that start was a pretty desperate start with all of your avenues for early damage getting blocked. That was definitely a bit of a scary bit, though the Demist holding that Sand Ruby to give you Palom. How'd that affect your decisions?
That felt good because once I got the magma from Ordeals, I was thinking to myself, well, I like doing Dwarf Castle first when I go underground, because the thing with B1 is you need so many items for go mode. It's usually not super advantageous to just go straight for Fey March chest or Yang check. So I typically try and get Dwarf Castle out of the way because it could lead to Pan or a better character or whatever. But my team was so weak that I was like, I can't really do this very quickly. But seeing Palom there, I knew I could get Quake on him fairly quickly and get route through pretty good after that. So I was really happy with that.
I'll bet that was definitely something that really gave your team a shot in the arm that it needed. Sid was a bit of a help, but he was certainly going to not quite take you to the level of damage you needed. How did you feel about clearing out the Earth before going to the moon?
So you probably saw me try to go to the moon like halfway through the seed and just turn around, because what I was doing there was I wanted to see who the character was, and if the character was good enough, I was just going to commit at that point. Obviously, I'm sort of glad I didn't with how everything turned out. But if it was, like, I don't know, Cecil or someone that I could make some use of, I was going to just go with it. But another Tella just didn't make any sense there. So I decided to just keep going with the Earth, because the way I usually figure it is I like clearing what I can. The fastest, the things that won't continue to get faster to clear, if I can clear them now, I'll just keep clearing them. So Earth spots are typically around the same difficulty level. Like, you're not going to find too much that will hold you back in terms of getting through them. But moon bosses are a different, whole different thing. And if I had went up early and tried to deal with that gauntlet at Ribbon Spot, that would have really sucked. So I'm kind of happy I wrote it the way I did. I typically wrote this way, where I try to get through most of the Earth, but sometimes I'll throw a wrench in there and do moon. But this wasn't the day for that.
Yeah, that was it was a bit concerning when we saw that Adam was on top of tower and there might be a tower key on the moon to drive runners there until it showed up in Baron. How did that make you feel? That
felt pretty good because I knew how deep it was, and I also knew if someone had went to the moon, that was half my thought process too, was if someone make the play to go to the moon here, and I just kind of have to make the opposite plays. So that's why it's an awkward play to do keyless tower so early. But at the end of the day, it was like one of the faster things I knew I could do there. So I just wanted to get it done. But then when I saw the tower key pop up at Baron, it felt much better.
Yeah, that was when you had gone and gotten the adamant and were in Sealed Cave, we saw that penguin8r had gotten the legend sword from the moon, so we knew where it was, and we were a bit worried for you as we're wondering how this was going to go for you.
Right.
I would highly encourage you to go and watch this race, because penguin8r took a very opposite route from you, and it was very close.
Very close, I bet. Yeah, it's interesting. There's a couple different ways you could have went on this one. I'm not super happy with my decision making on it, but at the end of the day, I ended up doing a lot of things that were fastest for the time that at that time in the seed, so I'm okay with it. But this is a weird seed. This is a really weird seed.
There ended up being two big keys that put you ahead of Penguin8r in the end. The first one was that you had Fusoya. You're the only racer actually checked Ebon Cave to pick him up. Right. And the second one was that you had the pass, and Penguin8r actually never got that. Wow. So you were essentially in go mode within maybe about a minute, 90 seconds of one another. Right. But what that really gave you a huge lead because you got to the fight so much quicker, and you were able to do the refill skip with Reflex Strat so much quicker.
Right. Yeah, that was interesting. Pass was at Fabul. Was that where Pass was?
Yes.
Fabul. Yeah. So I kind of assumed everyone would get that, but at the same time, with that Tella start, I can see people putting that off because it's not the easiest spot to get through with those Tellas. And plus, you have to do a cutscene if you have to reset out. It really sucks. So I understand skipping that spot. That's tough that he didn't have Pass there. That would have made definitely made some difference.
Oh, yeah, that was definitely that walk definitely put some time between you. That's it was incredibly close at the end. You were both going and running through, trying to go and get the half that the other had. It is a very, very exciting race. You should definitely watch it if you have a chance.
For sure.
Well, did you have any final thoughts on the seed for us here today, dustygriff?
I just want to say GG to the other racers, Penguin, Swimmy, and Air. And thank you all for coming and the Restream team. Appreciate it all. And yeah, GG's everyone.
GG to you, and thank you for putting on such a great show.
All right. Thanks, folks.
Take care. And I think we're going to have our second place runner, Penguin8r, in here shortly for an interview. And there he is. Penguin8r, GG.
Thank you.
So before we ask anything else, I just want to say, when you get a chance, definitely watch this VOD and watch chat's reaction when you walked out of Kokol, because nobody wanted you to move on from that point, and everyone was relieved when you finally checked your inventory.
Yeah, I had a bit of nerves for getting to pick up the crystal. Thankfully, I kind of was replaying it in my head, and it's like, wait, I don't think I heard the sound of obtaining the crystal. Let me just double check that before I go head up to the moon.
Yeah, that was definitely heads up, making that check and not moving on. So great recovery.
Oh yeah, that was definitely. We were all very happy for you when we saw that you getting back in the airship rather than the big whale. How did you feel about the start of this season?
I don't think I've ever seen so many Tellas in my life. And then you tell even on Hobbs. So I was kind of running around. I was hoping for maybe a power staff in a shop, or at least a silent staff in a treasure chest, which I actually found in the very rare back door of the watery cave. I'm just hoping for something so that Tella could at least hit things for more than 10 damage. And then it turns out I go into Baron Inn. I know first boss is free. I've already seen 2 free bosses, both of the guard fights, and then the second fight's also Dark Imps. And I literally face-palmed at that moment because I'd been running around looking for something to finish those things, and I actually had the coffins the whole time. So it was a basically free fight after all.
And it's only free if you can survive. Those Dark Imps were punching pretty hard.
Yeah, I think I did have to do some agility manip and use the back row to make sure Tella stayed alive.
Yeah, you weren't the only one. I think everybody who went that fight early on had to take at least one reset and readjustment there, because that's kind of a nasty surprise.
Yeah, once I got the sit, it wasn't too bad, and so then things kind of played out from there.
And then you made the very early D machine grind decision. What factors really played into that for you and made you decide, I'm not going to go and just get Quake on Kid, I want to get Nuke on the Kid before I go and continue clearing?
Yeah, so once I got underground, I was thinking the play would be to pop a couple Sirens and get Quake, but then I was kind of thinking, oh, well, I have all these Tellas already with Weak, so if the Darkness Crystal does show up, then I figured, well, it's a good a time to go D-Machine. Palom's in perfect position to get slingshotted all the way to Nuke pretty easily. with triple experience. So I figured I'd check the freebies, Fabul. I guess actually doing Fabul, because doing Fabul just said would be fine, and also checking summons, and then lo and behold, Darkness Crystal right away in the summons chest. And so it's a play I'll often make with early Darkness Crystal, and being able to slingshot one or two nice mages. Because as you probably observed, Paladin with Nuke is very, very strong.
Oh yeah, you just started destroying everything. You got a few fights where he wasn't able to maximize his potential, but you really went and just started just tearing through this seed. It was absolutely fascinating seeing how you went and you just destroyed everything that was in your path, while dustygriff stuck to the easier fights and was able to make his way through the seed that way. And it is incredibly fascinating seeing. It was very, very good to watch. I can't go and reiterate that enough.
Yeah, and it was a little bit awkward when I went to the moon and saw yet another Tela, because I was hoping for basically anyone else as a second character to slingshot. Ideally another mage, but even any of the fighters would have been fine. But of course, it's going to be the 3 Tela party. But at that point, I was already kind of committed to the giant play, and I figured doing Dwarf Castle for the extra character at that point would be a little bit too slow if I was still keeping Paladin at 10. So I figured I'd do that after the D Machine grind.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Dwarf Castle seemed it was going to be very slow without Quake, I believe. Just relying on that Sid to chew through 8,000 HP with a Rune Axe, and while Tella's maybe played a little bit more than moral support.
Yeah, slow without Quake, so how about just get Nuke for it, right?
Indeed, and
Makes sense to me.
Do you have any other thoughts on the seed or the race in general?
I guess just because I played so oddly because of the early Tellas and the early D Machine grind, just the routing kind of went more or less out the window. Of course, I skipped Fabul early once I saw that darkness, and then after a certain point, I felt like it was too late to go back and do Fabul without the pan, because the legend was actually the first check on the moon, so I figured if someone had already done Fabul and got an adamant from it, then they would have already beaten me because they would get the legend much before me. And that's the same reason I even once I finished Valvalus, because even that fight is something most people probably would have reset out of. I was very always second guessing my routing choices, and I was scared to continue on the moon because I was afraid that someone else would pick up the adamant on Earth and then head up to the moon and pick up that legend sword. So I did end up skipping Bahamut Cave, which worked out for me.
Yeah, Ashura was in Bahamut, which Sid with Rune Axe could do work on, but it was not going to go and be a super fast or fun fight.
I mean, Paladin with Nuke again.
True, Paladin with Nuke is there's very few things that cannot be answered with "I have a Paladin with Nuke. What are you going to do to stop me?"
Yeah, for sure.
Well, this is your third race, I believe. Your second place victory.
Yes.
So you've got
7 points now.
That puts you at 7. When have you your fourth race scheduled yet?
I believe my last race is this Friday evening.
Excellent. Well, we'll definitely be looking forward to that. Can't wait to see you play, and good luck in your next race. Thanks for putting on a great show for us today, Penguin8r.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to be here, and GG to Dusty. Great play from him, and of course these other racers getting there as well. GG to them.
Indeed, GG to all the great races, and GG to you for your fantastic performance today. That was definitely something to watch.
Thank you.
Take care. And catching back up with our other runners. Looks like we've got a music check very late in the seed.
And while Error is unfortunately going to be disappointed by the ribbon at music, Swimmy is in go mode, having just finished tower after finding that tower key, and is getting his crystal and is heading up to the moon now, or heading into his Zeromus fights very shortly.
Yeah, taking the hard way to getting go mode there, having to go all the way through the path that took him to Baron, to the tower key, to to the adamant itself, but finally on his way to finish this off. And looks like is in a good place here to take third place in this race.
Oh yeah, unfortunately, Error appears to have just gotten rabbit holed all over the place, going, unfortunately, to not the best places, just not getting rewarded with his chat. And
Yeah,
to
it's just-
go... Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, it's just one of those unfortunate cases where Rando's got so many options available to him and just unable to stumble upon the right sequence that he needs to put this away.
Yeah, Keyless Tower is very hard to go in metagame from these times because Dusty full clear the earth. That didn't go and put him super far ahead, which means he didn't go and do a very, very risky play, or it doesn't seem like a very off gamble risky play. And yeah, this is just unfortunately leading Error to a lot of the wrong places. And to answer a question from chat, you haven't seen many of these, but what characters you can find? Technically, you can go and find any character. In this flag set, if you see that CNX, that CN means that not all characters are guaranteed. So normally, without that flag, all characters are in the seed to be found with one character going and showing up twice. With CN, any character can be in any slot, which is why we saw a lot of Telos and not a lot of Cecil.
Yeah, one of the phenomenal things if you're new to Free Enterprise is just how modular of a randomizer it is. You can edit flag sets to be as simple and straightforward or as difficult as you want. It really encourages all levels of play, all different kinds of experiences with this. It makes it a lot of fun and just endlessly replayable. It's one of my favorite things about Free Enterprise is just how different one match to the next can be just by adjusting a couple of those flags.
Oh yeah, I played a lot of this when I first started playing last year, and went in and started with, why would I ever go and turn off T4? These adamants and crystal swords are way too fun to get rid of, and then decided, I would like to just not destroy every single thing with these, so let's maybe make this a little harder.
Yeah, when you start off, you're always leaning on those high power things, those Fusoyas to just carry the game for you. And then the more you play, the more you realize just what you can get away with, and just how little power you need to finish a seed. There's a big set of flags that we use called kata seeds that really push this game to its limits as far as what you have available to you, experience-wise, treasure-wise, character-wise. And those are still completed by some of the stronger or the best players in the community. So it really is fantastic to see just how far this game can be pushed.
Oh yeah, if you want to go and learn more about the game and how to play it and different ways people play it, come and check out the Discord. There are a lot of people who will go and chat about the game. Lots of people like going and talking about mechanics and talking about just how things work. How does run buffering work? How does agility work? All these things are discussed in depth very frequently on the Discord, and we have guides listed there for getting started if you want to go and see more about this game or other ways to get into it.
And Error looks like he's finally on the right path here to get to that tower play. Picked up his Baron key in the sealed cave. Ostensibly, his next check is going to be Baron, which is going to lead to the tower key, and finally that adamant. Meanwhile, swimmylionni is in the Zeromus fight proper here and is doing a little bit of black and white magic here reflected to take out Zeromus and hopefully get that HP skip.
Indeed, it looks like he's got Sid attacking, so he might be going and also trying Unicorn Step, because that Sid is berserked. There's a Unicorn coming out, so he might be trying that skip.
There it goes, and Sid is under control after one last queued up attack. And we'll see if the timing was good enough to prevent that refill trigger. I'm going to guess that it was, because we saw a shake there. Unless that shake was queued up, I think that indicates that he hasn't changed phases.
But that Big Bang coming out, it looks like, yes, he has not gone change phases yet, because if he had triggered the HP refill, he would have gone reset all the way back to pre-shake. There's a black hole, no skip, so he is still in HP skip territory. He just needs to go and get that out.
Yeah, right now it's just going to be Edward coming out, getting this party back stabilized, and getting 1 or 2 more nukes out to finish this off.
This is going to be tight timing. Edward needs to get hidden. Palom needs to get that nuke off. Ooh, and there's a big bang. And there's a reset.
Yeah, unfortunately, just the timing there was not... was really, really close, but that big bang just unfortunately doing too much damage to characters that were too injured.
Yeah, and I don't know what battle speed Swimmy is on, but if he's not, if he's on battle speed 1, that is going to be nigh impossible to do without run buffers. So hopefully he's going to reduce it to battle speed 3, but we'll see. I did not see if Swimmy picked up Cure 3s. I think, unless I'm mistaken, Cure 3s were in Evelyn, unless there was a different shop that I missed it in.
I believe they were in Dwarf Castle.
Ah, okay.
But if they were there, then they should be readily available. Evelyn was only checked by Dusty, I believe.
Yeah, very true. He's no one else really had a good reason to go and check that.
Yeah, penguin8r confirming Dwarf, definitely not Evelyn, yeah, because he had some, so hopefully he does have some in that case and can have a little bit better luck this attempt.
Yeah, maybe he'll choose to forgo those Unicorn strats, as they can definitely go and be a bit tricky to pull off.
Yeah, now of course, Swimmy still knows he's racing against one other person. He doesn't know the kind of lead that he has right now, so he might feel like he needs to squeeze out that extra damage with Sid in order to get the edge that he needs. But honestly, I think the safer play is the better play here. Just leave Sid unberserked, do your castings, let Sid be your huge HP tank, throwing out items. Just put him in chemist mode, and he should be A-okay.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Ooh, and that silk web missing, getting thrown out a little too early.
Yeah, follows it up quickly though, so hopefully not too much time lost. And that's always a good sign when the counter nuke from the silk web lands on your Star-Veiled character.
Indeed, get that free extra damage from Z himself. Meanwhile, Error is getting through Baron. Just Avenger Kane is going and destroying everything in his path.
As Avenger Kane is wont to do.
Avenger Kane, for once, stabbing Cecil in the front instead of the back, because, doesn't have time for that today.
Yeah, I believe Error did have a Dwarf Axe on him, which is the only item in the game that will get Kane properly set with that back row glitch. For those unfamiliar, if you equip a weapon that allows you to attack from the back row, the flag that is set on that character is actually never removed when you unequip the item. So once you've got it on there, you're good to go. You're always going to be considered a back row character, regardless of what weapon you equip. Usually this is easily achievable by bow and arrow, but Kane has no time for simple archery. So the only ranged weapon Kane has available to him is that Dwarf Axe. So if you find it, it's a good way to get some serious damage out of Kane while keeping him protected in the back row.
Indeed, Kane does not believe shooting arrows. Kane believes in being the arrow.
Kane is a big fan of gravity.
Why go and swing the sword when you can just fall onto things and make it do all the work? And it looks like Swimmy is going for a more vanilla reflex strats this time, choosing not to go into Berserk as Sid. Looks like Tella survived something and was throwing out some Cure 4, so he was going and helping out, using up a Cure 4 with Porum just to heal up. Taking a little safer and just accepting, yeah, I'll go through more big bangs, but I don't want to go and worry about another wipe. That's going to set me too far behind.
Yeah, this is a very strong, very stable looking play here by swimmylionni. So I expect that barring an exceptionally high rolled big bang, should be able to get through this fight with little problem.
Yeah, and if he does get that super high roll, he might be able to go and recover with that hidden Edward. Meanwhile, Air going and checking the Odin spot to say hello to Wyvern.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more a little bit of a renaissance with Edward as far as the Zeromus fight is concerned. People really experimenting with what Edward could do with that hide ability. Being able to just keep him hidden back there so they can pop out and throw out some emergency recovery. There's even some Edward only strats that have been recently worked on where Edward can, given a lot of time and a lot of very, very specific timing, can actually pop out and do all the work by himself on Zeromus, which is very, very interesting to watch.
Indeed, if you want to see those strats shown off, they were first displayed by Kirchen in the World Series of Free Enterprise 80% races. And if you can find the VODs for those, you'll go and see some very, very interesting races with lots of, after Kirchen pulled those out, other runners started going and trying to learn how to do them themselves, and he has not been it's not a strategy that is only shown up in Edward percent.
Yeah, it's definitely not something for the faint of heart, but it's one of those things that can really separate the high-level runners of this game. And speaking of high-level runner, we have got swimmylionni finishing in third place here. The flash is up, and Zeromus is dead. Going to take third place in his first race of the league. GG to swimmylionni.
GG, and he's finished with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 57 minutes, and 49 seconds.
Yeah, certainly not a time to be scoffed at when you had a seed with Fortellas in it. That is impressive, being able to finish sub 2 hours in a V1 seed with Fortellas. That is definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah, he had a very rough start. He had a very slow start. He does a lot of cata seeds, so maybe he was relying a bit too much on, I know how to do this slowly and carefully, let's go and get through it. But he still went and pulled out way far from behind at the end. And we'll see if we can get him in for an interview soon enough. And we are joined by swimmylionni. GG, congratulations on your third place finish in the race. You seem to have a little bit of trouble with your mic.
Or Swimmy has been a Muppet this entire time.
Just going and showing off exactly how good he can be. Yes, that is much better. Thank you. GG's again.
Yeah, thanks. I could have done better, but, moonbait, whatever.
Yeah, the start was certainly a rough one for everyone as well. Do you have any general thoughts on this?
No, I need to practice Unihorn strats, clearly.
Those are some very risky strats. I have not really looked into those myself, but definitely ambitious.
I was counting it. I was just a little too late, and then I wasn't confident. Yeah. Oh well. I'm going to practice that and get good at it, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be required on seeds like this eventually.
It's definitely a strat to go and maximize your team as hard as you can.
Like, if you have kind of a crummy team like this one, if you can make up that little bit of damage with Sid or whoever, but yeah, it just didn't work out. And I'm okay with how I did. Like, aside from that botched mom bomb fight at the beginning, where I accidentally used the bomb too soon and only hit one of them and had to do it all over, that was really bad.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate to see for you. It's like,
and there's not much I can do about the Valvalis and Evil Wall bait. That was a gamble I took. I knew that those bosses would take a while and would be hard, and I was just hoping that I went moon early and it was behind there. Well, it's fine.
Yeah, this was definitely a very, very different race. Dusty and penguin8r all had very different routes and made very, very different plays. So this was there's a lot to the seed to go and unpack. 2 Tellas is extraordinarily difficult to go and start with, particularly when you just don't get a lot to work with them.
Yeah, and then we ended up with I saw 4 Tellas in total.
Yes, there were 4 Tellas. The only other.
I was hoping that the moon character would be anyone who I could take back to the giant and slingshot and then tear through the seed. And it was like, there are a small handful of characters that wouldn't have worked with, and Tella was one of them, of course. Oh well.
Yeah, you were not the only one burned on that Tella there. At least I think 1 or 2 of the other runners made that early check as soon as they got the Darkness Crystal, looking for some sort of power character, and just getting completely burned.
And at that point, I was on the moon. I was like, well, I'm stuck grinding. Let's cross my fingers and hope I can get to 10 key items before I have to grind all the way to new. Nope. No.
Yeah, there was not a lot of goodwill in this seed. How much did your experience with like doing things like cata seeds do you think came into play here with just like the relative just relative drought of powerful items and characters?
I mean, it definitely affects it. I think the way it affects it the most is that I wouldn't even say this was a very hard seed. It just had an annoying start. Like, I struggled through Mom Bomb, but not because I was going to die, just because it took forever. And likewise with Evil Wall. Evil Wall was cutting it a little close. Val, I just had to shift my party around, and then it wasn't really a challenge at all. It wasn't a super hard seed. It's just hard to do quickly.
Yeah, this is definitely not a seed that you can look at and say, oh yeah, this is totally going to go and be an easy sub-hour. This was a lot of everyone going and finding, like, looking for a tiny seam to go and get a bit more speed and push through. One of our runners went and did Ordeals and grabbed a stack of Thor Rages to get through that, through Demas, just because they didn't think they had better options. It's, this seed was mean.
Yeah. Yeah, once I figured out that I could get Sid, I stuck with that play because I really wanted him for Ordeals.
Yeah, that was definitely something that a lot of runners went and pushed on. They went and, found that scene with Sid, got them, and then did Ordeals, and they you got to make up some time with that. It definitely really started helping.
Of the first 2 winners, did either of them do Tower without Tower Key?
Dusty did Tower without Tower Key, but he cleared all of Earth first, and then went to the moon.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, it was.
So of course he had 10 key items, and then the Legend Sword was in the most obvious spot, the place that you go to right away if you have 10 key items.
Yeah. penguin8r he didn't go and do Dwarf Castle. He took his Palom. He went to Feymarch, found that Darkness Crystal, and didn't level him up at all. So he did a slingshot on Palom and had Nuke destroying the seed. He went and cleared the moon and got that very early as well, but then just got rabbit holes going through all the different places to try and find that Tower Key, which led him to the top of the tower.
Yeah, I have a big stack of data saying that Tower without Tower Key is a bad play, so it's not a huge number of seeds, but it's enough that I'm just going to trust that number and obviously lose some seeds.
Well, trust the data, even though anecdotally this league seems to be proving otherwise.
Anyone charged Tower without Tower Key this time. Yeah, good play. Once in a while. All right, that's it for me. I'm gonna cut stream. Thanks for commentating. Thanks to the tracker and restreamer. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you for putting on one heck of a show. I really appreciate it. And GG.
Have a good one, everybody.
Take care.
Take care.
And I believe that is going to do it for our race today. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like Error has chosen to forfeit here for the.
He did. He left a comment saying that he was on tilt. He was just upset with his play and decided he's done, which is fair. That's something where it does go and technically negatively affect him in some of the later tiebreakers, but it's not something I can blame him for. He spent a lot of time in that Golbez. He just got rabbit holed all over today. That's a rough feeling. It hurts. I don't blame him.
Yeah, and Error put on one heck of a show here today. He did a phenomenal job. It's just too many of those wrong checks, and Rando's going to catch up with you. It's just one of those unfortunate parts of the game, but that's not to detract from anything that he did. He really did do fantastic tonight.
Yes, he is a very good player. He just had a bad day. So I believe we're going to be going and sending you to another free enterprise or Highway to the Zenith Zone race that's in progress.
It's going to be over on RPG Limit Break, and we'll go ahead and rage it so you can get some more free enterprise action here for the rest of the afternoon. So for our tracker Rennet, our restreamer Legend Harvest, and my co-commentator here, Baka Shinobi, I am Smatey, and thank you so much for watching us today.
Yes, thank you, and enjoy the next match.